Joining us now is James Head, Professor of Geological Sciences at Brown University in the United States, and he's trained astronaut crews in geology and surface exploration and participated in the selection of landing sites for the Apollo moon program. Welcome back to CGTN, Professor Head. Good to see you again. SpaceX, they're billing this as a success, but it doesn't exactly seem to have gone very well. What's your assessment? Is this a big setback for SpaceX and Elon Musk?
Actually, rather than a setback, it seems like a major step forward. The problem with space exploration is that people think it's like, oh, yeah, it's like turning a switch, and it's just not like that at all. You have to do simulations, and you have to do practice and practice. Remember that less than 7 months ago, about 7 months ago, the first one failed for 4 fundamental reasons. It blew up the launch pad, the Raptors wouldn't work together, the launch escape system, the launch termination system was delayed and didn't fire, etc. All of those have been fixed in less than 7 months. I mean, imagine trying to get a room in your house remodeled in 7 months. Not going to happen. But they did it, and they did it beautifully, and the launch was beautiful. So now we turn attention to the next problems, which is once the separation of the big rocket happened, indeed, there were some issues there with the way the rockets fired to try to bring it back down to the surface to land and use again. And the launch termination system initiated, which is the right thing to happen. And then as the rocket continued on, it flew beautifully for a long period of time until it was lost contact and the termination system was... So explosions are real, that's what's supposed to happen. So, you know, looking back to the Apollo days, we had 21 robotic missions before Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon. And the first 6 Ranger missions, we couldn't even hit the moon. We couldn't hit the moon, that big gold thing up there in the sky. So this is a normal kind of sequence of events. And, you know, it was a major successful day for SpaceX. And now they'll move on, just like they did with the previous one, and solve their attention, you know, to these outstanding problems. So I'm excited. I was really emotionally very excited to see the success so far.
Oh, good. Well, it does put things into perspective for us that this is incredibly challenging work, and this is a step forward. It is progress, even though there has been delays and difficulties and setbacks. Just how challenging is it in the field of private space exploration? And do you think it's right that it's these billionaires who have all this money, who can maybe afford to have some element of failure, who are leading on space innovation rather than national governments?
Well, I think the private enterprise is playing a hugely important role. I think you have to step back and look at SpaceX as an entity. They are phenomenally successful. The CEO, Glenn Shotwell, is phenomenal. And, you know, they are doing, look at the Starlink communication systems, look at all the launches to the space station, look at all the resupply to the space station, sending astronauts, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, they have been phenomenally successful, not without failures at the beginning, just like we're seeing here with this big rocket, but nonetheless phenomenally successful. And I think that's really the way to go, because government tends to get a little, I would say, you know, ossified in a way, and they're set in their ways. And the innovation comes from private industry is fantastic. As for the money going to all the billionaires, that is a worrisome thing. And I think, you know, yeah, I don't tell people how to spend their money when they make it, but at the same time, I think, you know, they're also doing a lot of good. So I don't know where to come down on that one.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much. It's great to talk to you. That was Professor James Head there. Many thanks.
Thank you, Paul.